start with a question. In the recent years, we have some increasing pressure from Chinese government on the country's minorities, such as Uyghur Muslim. What do you think about why the Chinese government do this pressure on these minorities?
First, thank you so much for having me. It is really significant, and the Iranian people and to understand what's going on for the Uyghur Muslim in East Turkestan in China. It is really significant for us, so that's why I really appreciate. Well, before I'm talking, I have to make small correction for you. First, we are not minorities. This term is not a correct term, because if you compare it with Chinese populations or other nations, then around the world is minority.
Oh.
Yes. So we are not minority of our country. And secondly, this problem is not new. Not, of course, the most of some world awareness this issue recently, particularly 2018. But this atrocity is not new. The problem was started in 1949. We call East Turkestan. China calls this region is Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a Chinese name. Its meaning is Xin is new, Jiang is territory body. It is meaning new territory, new occupied country. It is. But China claimed this is the part of China from ancient time. But they are calling this new territory. Yeah. So East Turkestan has been occupied 1949. So this problem starts since occupation. Chinese governments and the repression policy towards not only for the Uyghur, Tibetan, and the Southern Mongolia have a long history. But since 2014, current president of China, Xi Jinping, took the power, China's government abandoned assimilation policy towards Uyghur to change really a genocidal policy. Today, Chinese government commits genocide against the Uyghurs. This is several reasons. Because, as I say, this problem is a long history. Until recently, Chinese government implemented this policy with some with mask, some with makeup, because little bit afraid, worried for the international pressure, but now China thought, I'm second big power around the world. I'm good enough power, so I'm not aware. Whole the world just depending on Chinese market, Chinese money, Chinese economic interest, human life, human rights, or human life. It is not important issue than economic, unfortunately. This is the reality today's world. That's why China testing all the world, saying, okay, this is a good time. I can openly start the genocide towards the Uyghur. So since 2016, Chinese government and they set up the so-called eradication camp, but it is 21st century concentration camp. Today, more than at least 3 million Uyghur Muslims are suffering 21st century concentration camp. They are very simple people. You know, this is some China all the time changing narrative, first hiding, denied everything. No, we don't have such a camp. But after growing up international pressure and the Chinese government saying, yes, we have such a center, but it is vocational training center. It is not detention center or concentration camp. We are training the young generation for the better future. But there is so many professors, intellectuals, teenagers, professional football players, singers, and the pensioner like my mother. You know, my mother was died from the concentration camp 2018. She was 78 years old. She didn't need any vocational training. Then Chinese government and the change narrative, well, we are fighting terrorism and radicalism because we are Muslim, very easily to blame such a terrorism for the Muslim people. Unfortunately,
you think? Yeah. So you believe that the radicalization of the Muslim is just an excuse for make pressure on them, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, because China is saying, you know, we are fighting anti-terrorism, anti-radicalism. Well, Uyghur Muslim is a very modern Muslim. There is any kind of religious activities today is called illegal activities. For example, Salam Alaikum. It is a very general greeting each other because today you cannot use this language. You cannot greeting each other Salam Alaikum. If you use such a religious word, it is you will be charged terrorist and put a camp. You know, even today,
just for using the words like Salam Alaikum,
yes,
you're going to the construction camp.
It is.
Do you have anything to prove it?
Yes, just if even if you're on the street, police stop you, check your mobile phone, look at if find any single word related religious, Salam Alaikum,
such as
Hafiz or Khuda Hafiz, this kind of word, good enough reason put you in the concentration camp. Yeah, it is a situation. And well, it is, you know, this last year in the Australian National Policy Institute published a report. They are used the satellite image, everything. Within 2017 to 2023 years, more than 8,000 mosques completely destroyed. Look, another 8,000 mosques and the party destroyed. If you look at the before 2017, you look at the pictures of the satellite, this mosque was exist. No, you cannot find any sign of this mosque. This is the reality. Today, forbidden fasting during the Ramadan time. You cannot enter the mosque. Even 2016, China so-called anti-radicalization campaign. Even you cannot give the name to the Muslim name to your baby. For example, Muhammad, Ali, Isa, Musa, such kind of Khadija. You cannot give the name officially banned this. Yeah, this is
what about the woman's hijab?
Well, it is impossible. It is hijab or even headscare. Even headscare. Also forbidden. Even you cannot grow off your birth. It is also considered as a anti-terrorism and the radicalism law. So any kind of even forced to eat pork. Can you imagine this? 2016 or 17, Chinese government and started campaign anti-halalism. Today, if you visit Turkestan, you cannot see any single word in the tablet and the banner of the restaurant. You cannot use any words and halal. You cannot use the halal. If with the Chinese, you colleague together, have a dinner or any party, if someone offer to you eat pork, you cannot refuse. You say, no, I don't eat pork. Maybe it is religious reason. Maybe it is your heritage. Maybe you are vegetarian. It doesn't matter. If you're saying, no, I don't eat pork, this is the problem. You are radicalism. Fourthly, to drink alcohol. Since 2015, Chinese government special order to all the Uyghur Muslim restaurants saying all restaurants must be sold the alcohol and the cigarette. If any, you have to display it put the alcohol very displayed place on the restaurant. If who's refuse and close your restaurant is punished. This is the situation, you know. And also Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping very clearly saying Islam is ideological disaster, is illness. It must be eradicated. This is the official slogan of the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah. Today, of course, not only because Chinese Communist Party is the anti-religious organization. Today is so huge the pressure to the Uyghur Muslim, but same time also pressure to the Chinese Christian, Tibetan Buddhists, Tibetan Buddhists, and destroyed so many churches as well, Tibetan temple as well. But particularly Chinese Communist Party say Islam is a disaster; it must be eradicated. Yeah.
So I have a question. Unlike Myanmar, it looks like there is no any serious pressure from human rights groups on the Chinese government. And some people say it's just because of economic relation, a good economic relation between China and some Muslim country. What do you think about that?
Yes, I agree. Unfortunately, today, so many Muslim countries silent for this genocide against Uyghur. Of course, some Muslim country is speak out regarding the Myanmar Muslim. For example, organization Islamic Conference also very sensitive this issue. But if the problem is coming, Uyghur Muslim, all the Muslim countries silence, even not only silence, support Chinese government, unfortunately. Look, while Iran is a neighboring country for the Uyghurs, we have a long historical relationship between Iranian people, Parsi people, and Uyghur people. Even our language, so many Persian language, Khuda, Gosh, Nan, all we use this. At least is Uyghur language, and the part has at least 20% is Pars language, at least.
You mean 20% of Uyghur language is Persian, right?
Yes. Inside the Uyghur language, today is daily, we are used the Uyghur language, at least 20% is Pars, from the Parsi. So we have a long historical relationship with Parsi, Iranian people in the history, and the Iranian and knows Uyghurish, but unfortunately today, and Iran is openly support Chinese government's genocidal policy towards the Uyghur. Okay, at least because is a religious freedom is a very basic right. And the former and the head of the Iran, Khomeini, visited Turkestan in the end of the 90s. All the Turkestan people, Uyghur Muslim, was very happy at that time. They made namaz, Jum'ah together to the Uyghur Muslims that time. That time I was in Turkestan.
You mean there's a very positive view in Uyghur Muslim to Iran, right?
Yes, sure. But up to 20 years later, today's Iran position is the government in support China. It is really very disappointed for us.
I don't think it's just because of economic
relation. I know it is the most.
I mean, it's a very general, or it's normal that most countries support relation with support from relation between China and their own country because of economic. You know that, and some limitation about Uyghur Muslim supporting Uyghur Muslim. But I have another question. What do you think about?
But I'd like to add one thing. Yes, economic issue is one of the most important reason. But this Muslim country not only have a really economic relationship with China. This most of some countries have economic relations also Europe, United States, Australia, Japan, some other country as well. If something little and the little problem also some is the problem is against Islam is European country. All the Muslim countries stand up and in the very sensitive issue. But same things was happening in China is silent. This is unacceptable situation, because Islam is same around the world. If anywhere insulting the value of Islam, this is the universality, and it should be same position. This is unacceptable. That's why I'm saying 1990 is the Khomeini visit Turkestan, make Juma, or every Uyghur Muslim is so happy. But why today the Muslim country, Muslim leader, not, and they express same attitude? Yes.
And what do you think about the future of these issues in China? I mean, what do you expect from the world governments?
Well, no, it's the Chinese government intention is very dangerous. Chinese government trying to completely eradicate Uyghur Muslim, Uyghur identity, forbidden Uyghur language, forbidden religious, Uyghur culture destroyed completely. And today Chinese government just destroying the Uyghur as a people and indoctrination. And as I say today, there's a biggest detention center after Second World War, in the human history. and the mass sterilization Uyghur women, birth control measures for the Uyghur, forced labor, modern slavery, and also is a separate children from the family. This all. So that's why whole the world should not be silent, because this is a crime. This is the crime, Chinese government. So whole the world should stand up and save the Uyghurs, save the one country, you know. So this is the obligation to the all human being, all the country. If whole the world continue silence, then China, this is the Uyghur Muslim, maybe up to 20, 30 years later, then
So
it's
after
not
Muslim is after Muslim, then Christian, then Buddhist, and then
yes,
any other religion.
exactly. Today, Chinese government not only threatens for the Uyghurs, threatens whole peace of the world. You know, peace of the world, and that's why we demand, and the whole the world should be broken the silence, support, and the condemning Chinese government make pressure only way, should not only think on the economic interest. Then in the silence, it is the crime should not be compensative for this genocide. So we know some country, particularly European country, it understands the situation, some human rights organization around the world, and accuse the Chinese government and asks the Chinese government stop this genocide. But it's not good enough. Still, so many countries silence. Then we call whole the world should not be compensated for the Chinese government's this genocide and this atrocity. Particularly Muslim country like Iran, some other, and Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, this all should, and all the Islamic conference member organization, Islamic conference should be rethinking on this. At least make pressure Chinese government stop the attack to the Islam at least, because China already starts a war against Islam. Yeah.
Mr. Rizal, is there any conversation or any direct talk between Uyghur leaders, Uyghur Muslim leaders, and Chinese governments?
I beg your pardon once again. The question?
Any direct talk or any?
No, because Chinese government. Because Chinese government intentions is completely destroyed ethnic cleansing, for instance. So if Chinese government not want to solve the problem, I can give you the one example. Professor Ilham Tohti. Ilham Tohti get a lot of his economic professor. He was the professor in Beijing National University. Actually, he gives very important suggestion between set up the dialogue between the Uyghur leader and the Chinese government. And he actually had to try to help to the Chinese government. But what is the result? He sentenced to life. He's the prison. He got a lot of international prize, Sakharov Prize. He got so many human rights prize because he never against the Chinese constitution, Chinese law. He just emphasized according to the Chinese constitution, according to the Chinese law, according to the autonomic law, to trying to solve this problem. He gives us so important suggestion to the Chinese government, but he was sentenced to long life sentence. This is the situation. So Chinese government never accept, even World Uyghur Congress. We also 2009, we held a conference in the European Parliament. We called the Chinese government to the dialogue. We called the Chinese government to the dialogue, solve these problems a peaceful way.
Government refused.
No single answer from the Chinese government.
Okay. Mr. Isa, anything else to say?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed for accepting my invitation for interview. Thank you very much.